Obama starting out his statement saying that Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, saying, quote, "Today we've also been reminded again that he's a patriot of the highest order." He later says he knows Biden would not make this decision unless he believed it was right for the country. Now, former Republican Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, who is running for U.S. Senate, says, quote, "I believe he made the right decision for his family and the country. These are dangerous and unprecedented times. He should be commended for putting the country ahead of personal ambition." Maryland Governor Wes Moore just releasing this statement as well. President Biden has dedicated his life and career to serving the American people. His legacy of hard work, dedication, optimism, and strength have shaped the trajectory of our nation and made us better as a people and as a country. It's the same sentiment we are hearing from Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. He says his decision today reflects the same patriotism that George Washington and Teddy Roosevelt demonstrated when they selflessly put their country above their own political ambitions. And just like Kaine, Virginia Senator Mark Warner is throwing his support now for Kamala Harris as the presidential nominee. Warner says she has the experience, energy, and resolve to lead our nation. Warner says the nation owes a great debt to Biden's service. And as you might remember, reports say Warner was one of the senators working to get a group together to ask Biden to step down from the race after what's been described as Biden's disastrous debate performance. Now, Republican Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who spoke at the RNC last week, released this statement within the last 2 hours saying, "Make no mistakes, whether its borders are Kamala Harris or someone else, it's the Biden-Harris administration's weak leadership and resulting chaos around the world and here at home that is on the ballot this November." Then the big question is, of course, how this will all play out at the DNC next month. Adam.
Yeah, and if all of these Democrats will coalesce around Vice President Harris. Matthew Torres, thank you. The president's decision, of course, means a major shift for delegates from our area. They're going to be headed to Chicago in a few weeks for the Democratic National Convention. And there's nothing that says that they have to vote for Vice President Harris to lock her in as the Democratic nominee for president. Now, technically, there was nothing binding them for voting for President Biden either. But just within the past few hours, we have seen an overwhelming amount of support for Harris, including from one of our local leaders who will have a vote as part of the Maryland delegation, Montgomery County Council member Will Jawando.
I still think President Biden would have had the overwhelming amount of delegates at the convention. And I'm going to follow his lead and also follow my conscience and support Vice President Harris for the Democratic nomination.
I spoke at length with Councilmember Jawando also about the Republican calls that we're starting to hear for President Biden to resign immediately. You're going to hear that part of our interview tonight on WSA 9 News at 11.
Yeah, the campaign playbook for both sides in the presidential race just flew right out the window with this announcement a few hours ago. Not only will Vice President Harris have to work to galvanize support from within the Democratic Party, she will likely face immediate attacks from Republicans. But Larry Sabato with the University of Virginia Center for Politics says it'll be difficult for Republicans to tie her to Biden's more unpopular policies.
Even though she's been vice president, she's not that well known. People don't follow vice presidents. So both sides are going to get out very quickly and try to define her. And the Democrats are a little bit behind the ball here. On the other hand, I don't think the Republicans really planned for this either.
Sabato also weighed in on who the likely vice presidential nominees would be for Harris. He says she'd likely choose someone who could deliver one of the battleground states that will be crucial for winning this election. We're going to hear more from Sabato later on tonight on the news at 11 o'clock.